So imagine this. You land a fantastic new job. You move to a new city, Pune, in India, and you find what seems to be the perfect apartment. It feels like your life is really starting. But what if that dream turned into an absolute nightmare? Well, for one man, it did. This is the story of the haunting of Flat 602.
Now, before we get into the whole story, I want you to really think about something. What if you were in your own bed, in your own home, and you saw someone walk into your room, and that someone was you, an exact copy? What would you even do? For one man, this wasn't just a scary thought. It actually happened.
And there it is. That's the chilling quote at the very heart of this story, from a young IT professional named Kunal. He's lying there, completely frozen with fear, watching his own doppelganger just move through his apartment. So how on earth did it get to this point? All right, so we're actually going to jump right into the deep end. We're starting with the peak of the haunting, the one moment that completely shattered Kunal's sense of reality and forced him to find out what was really going on in his new home.
Okay, so here's how it went down. Kunal is stuck in what he describes as sleep paralysis. You know, he's awake, he can see everything, but he can't move a muscle. He watches as the bedroom door, a door he knows he locked, just swings open by itself. And then, a perfect copy of him walks in, doesn't even look at him, just strolls right past his bed and heads toward the kitchen. The only thing that snaps him out of this terrifying trance is the sudden loud crash of pots and pans.
And this is the part that proves it wasn't just some crazy dream. When Kunal could finally move again, he gets up to check, and the physical evidence is just undeniable. The main door that he always locked was standing wide open. And in the kitchen, the tap was on, water just running freely. Someone, or something, was definitely there. Now, to understand how this could even happen, we've got to go back. So let's rewind the clock. This whole thing starts back in 2011. Kunal's just landed a great new IT job in Pune. He's looking for a place to live, something near his office, and that's when he stumbles upon Flat 602. You know, the first major red flag probably should have been the rent. The building was nice, the area was great, it should have cost a lot more. But the price for this place was, well, it was unbelievably low, almost suspiciously low. But hey, for a young guy just starting his career, it was an offer he just couldn't pass up. He took the flat on the spot.
And you know what? For the first couple of days, everything was totally fine. The building was busy, full of families, no creepy vibes, nothing. He was just settling in, enjoying his new life, going to work. It was all completely normal for about 3 days. And then the quiet stopped. Little things started happening. The kind of stuff that's easy to brush off at first, but they started adding up, forming a really disturbing pattern. It all began pretty subtly. He started noticing his neighbors giving him these weird, sympathetic looks, like they felt sorry for him, but he had no idea why. Then came the knocks. One night, a single knock on his door at exactly 3 a.m. The next night, same thing. Only this time he gets up and opens the door, and there's no one there. And just then, a sudden, splitting headache hits him out of nowhere. And yeah, it only got worse from there. See, it wasn't just random chaos. It's like this thing had a playbook. First, the phantom knocks became a nightly ritual, always between 3 and 3:10 a.m. Then came the phantom smells. The strong scent of cigarette smoke would just fill the apartment, even though everything was sealed shut. Then came the sounds. Loud, violent banging coming from inside a wall that connected to a storeroom he couldn't even access. And the final step, right before he saw his double, was the whispering. Faint, annoying whispers that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. So after seeing himself walk into his room, that was it. That was the last straw for Kunal. He was terrified, but he knew he couldn't just ignore this anymore. He goes downstairs and finally confronts the building's security guard, basically demanding to know what was going on in his apartment.
And the guard, seeing the absolute terror in Kunal's eyes, finally spills the beans. The whole story goes back to the man who lived in Flat 602 right before Kunal moved in. He was a businessman who'd been cheated by his partner, was living all alone, and on top of all that, was suffering from a serious heart condition.
So this man, feeling desperate and betrayed, apparently turned to some dark practices. The neighbors had complained about hearing strange chanting and rituals coming from the apartment. It got so bad that the owner gave him a 5-day notice to get out. But instead of packing, he just doubled down on his rituals. And then,
On what would have been his second to last night there, he was found dead, alone, in the flat. And that's the big question that just hangs over this whole story, isn't it? Did he die because of his bad heart? Or did something he was messing with, some dark force he invited in, finally turn on him? We'll probably never know for sure, but whatever it was, it seems pretty clear his presence never really left that apartment. Okay, so once the story was out, everything changed. The guard immediately called the building's owner, the other residents were told what Kunal had been going through, and they all decided, together, that they had to do something to fix this. So what was their solution? Well, it was a traditional one. The entire building society chipped in and called a Hindu priest, a pundit, to come and perform a special purification ceremony. It's called a Shanti Havan, and it's basically a ritual designed to cleanse a space of all that negative energy and bring back peace. And what was the results? Well, after that ceremony was done, the number of paranormal things Kunal experienced was exactly this: 0. Nothing. Just like that, it was over. The knocks, the smells, the whispers, the apparitions, all of it just stopped. The flat was finally quiet, and Kunal, believe it or not, actually stayed there for a while longer, living in total peace before he eventually decided to move on. So, what's the big lesson from Kunal's terrifying ordeal? It's advice that he had to learn the hard way. Whenever you move to a new place, do your homework, learn its history. That unbelievably cheap rent wasn't a stroke of luck. It was a giant red flag. Finding out who lived there before you, and maybe more importantly, why they left, well, it's not just about being nosy. It could be crucial. And that kind of brings us to a final kind of spooky thought, doesn't it? The place where you're sitting right now, your own home. Do you know its story? Do you have any idea who was there before you? And are you absolutely sure that they're all gone?